So welcome to what is essentially race day 0. So it's day 0 because it starts at 2 p.m. at Nick Lake and then heads off from there, and day 1 officially starts at 2 p.m. the next day. So from race day start, or race start through to the first day, is day 0, and then after that it's day 1 onwards. So from race start I sort of took off. It was actually quite a lot warmer than what I'd anticipated, so I'd overdressed. So I had to take a few layers off as I was going because it was sort of around about 1 to 2 degrees, and I think it even got a little bit warmer through that afternoon. So sweated a little bit, and I'd had a hamburger and chips at the Nick Lake Roadhouse and then that kind of sat in my stomach, and then as we were going it made it a little bit difficult to eat, or to sort of eat as we went through. So by the time I got to Butterfly Lake I felt pretty poor. I actually felt like crap, to be honest. And to get there I'd had to sort of navigate and follow a few different people because the amount of overflow that was on the trail had made it really difficult to maintain the path or the route that everyone thought they were initially going to do. So it was a little bit of following the race leaders in front, working with a few other people who had access to some updated maps as I was going to find the best route to get there. So despite having a fair bit of detouring, I kind of got to Butterfly Lake at about midnight. I was probably in the bottom third of races at that stage, and I'd covered 27 miles to get there. So at that point I decided to go inside to the heated cabin that they had, dry out all the clothing that I had, because a lot of my clothing was a little bit wet from sweating so much, and I didn't want to go further down the trail and bivvy with wet clothing, because then my sleeping bag gets wet and then that creates complications and some limitations and it makes things difficult later on. So I decided to dry out my clothing. From 2 o'clock to 12 o'clock I'd covered sort of about 27 miles. I wasn't in a great condition, so I decided to stay there, recover a little bit, get a little bit of sleep. I got up, had something to eat, made sure everything was good to go, and then set out on what would be a really big day 1. So the first day was not really a huge day, but I'd sort of had to reset so that I could make sure that my next day was going to be a productive day. And thankfully the weather conditions, or the temperature, dropped a little bit, so it made the river a little bit sort of more frozen and a bit quicker as I'd go through, and I'd be able to make good ground on the following day.